So, good morning, Nordic. Hope you're feeling well rested. And also, for you back home and my hungover friends who are not made it to this morning, welcome as well. Hope you see us later. I'm just going to grab a clicker. So, underneath some of your jumpers, you might have pitchforks you want to sharpen or torches you want to lit. I'm not sure. But this is my first talk in Nordic. I never really thought they would say yes. So I hope this goes well. I can't promise. I'm a little bit nervous, but let's rock and roll. So I'm talking about cozy games because I'm making a cozy game. I'm not going to talk about too much, but it's called Porster. I'm going to showcase it later at East Sweden Game. And it's like a cute little cozy cooking game. To get here, I journeyed from Jörn. There's a little pun in there somewhere, I apologize. But it's way up in the north of Sweden. I'm originally from England, but down here for the south, I'm loving it. And public service announcements. There's this little known dude, made a couple indie games, I think. He's called Josef Fares. Maybe you want to leave here a bit early to see him. I don't care, that's okay. So yeah, welcome to my talk. It's called The Rise of Low-Stress Gaming, or why you should be paying attention to cozy games. But what exactly are cozy games, you may be asking? Well, you're all game industry people, so I hope you know a little bit, but there could be some fresh faces here. They typically have a humble scope. They're not trying to be big bombastic games at all. They thrive on simple but innovative gameplay. So we're trying to reinvent the wheel in a tiny way, perhaps. They generally have a very unique identity. So they have a lovely art, or they're trying to stick out in some way which is not the AAA way. But generally, they all have big themes of comfort and warmth. They feel like a lovely, warm hug after being at work all day, stressed. And they all have relaxing art and music, generally. And this one can come and go, but usually you're not fighting anyone or you're not really killing anything. There's generally a big lack of violence in cozy games. But it's all subjective. If you want to go home and play Doom, and that's cozy for you because you know exactly how it feels, you're in the inertia of it, then you could say that it's cozy for you. I just wouldn't put the cozy genre tag on Steam for Doom. So why are cozy games a thing? We have a changing audience of gamers, in my point of view. They're tailoring to an audience who are looking to escape stress and, well, not add to it. They are primarily younger gamers and female, but there's a lot of unrepresented minorities who generally aren't huge gamers to begin with, and they just see the appeal of games which are trying to do something different than shoot demons in the face. And many see the world as pretty dark already, maybe getting darker and darker by the minute, and they're not ready for another apocalyptic gore fest. So, one by one, I think people are flocking towards cozy horizons. And yeah, why not? Why not make cozy games? Our lives are full of lots of small, therapeutic, cozy moments that we all enjoy. Why not put them on a video game screen? Or at least I hope your lives are full of lovely, warm cups of hot cocoa here and there, or walk in the forest. I learned this recently. The Japanese have a word for it called Shinrin Yoku. It means forest bathing, and they take it as like this therapeutic retreat, which is almost like essential to surviving as a person. Then, of course, watering plants is pretty cozy. Even cleaning your laptop could be a cozy thing to do. There could be a game in that. I don't want to make it myself, but maybe someone out there will. And I come from a film background before I went into gaming, so I'm just going to bring up some film metaphors here. But most big media out there isn't exactly cozy. It does require a big degree of conflict and danger. Maybe you know the save the cat metaphor. It's hanging from the roof rafters and It's meowing for your help. You gotta save it before it drops and turns into a puddle of blood. Hopefully that never happens. In cozy games, generally there is no dangling cat. And we can look at some movies. Generally, they have intense moments, but they can be cozy. They have a breathing out moment in which you can really appreciate what happened, digest it as a person, and relax a bit. Especially in Studio Ghibli movies. So here in Kiki's delivery service, she's flying around like crazy, trying to save her friend. Everything is dramatic. We don't know if he'll survive or not. He literally is a dangling cat in that movie. And in between the inertia of all that, she also takes time to just help out some old ladies and bake a pie. And for many people, actually, these are the moments that stick with them in a movie. Not the big action pieces, but the moments where you can just breathe out, enjoy the cozy, and have this humble slice of life kind of content. In fact, the Tokyo Story director, Yasujiro Uzu, called these moments pillow shots. And they were like a big part of Japanese cinema, and especially just not always having action non-stop, but allowing the viewer some time to breathe out and just soak up a bit of landscape before the story continues. But why not focus on these moments all the time? Cozy games cut the intensity, the crazy action and drama that's happening in most movies, and just hone in on these lovely warm hug moments. So here are some examples from pretty recent games. There's Kabuto Park, which is, I think, about to release in 1 week. It's just about catching bugs in a lovely summerside sort of village. That's basically the game. Just you walk around, you find a bug, you catch it. Then there's Undusted, which brings this cozy, minutia, very microscopic gameplay to just cleaning sort of inspection objects. It's basically Power Simulator, but up close. Then we have Map, which was shown at last Nordic Game, cool team. They're having mini open worlds, and instead of going out and fighting things, you're just learning how to get from one point to another and discover the orientation. So figuring out distances. But it's super cute, I love it. And yeah, some of you might be wondering, like, when I say about the whole film comparisons, maybe that means that you can't have a great story underneath it all. Well, of course you can. Not every story needs things dying all the time. For example, After Love UP is a beautiful game where you're mostly just playing guitar and having dialogue, but it has a very beautiful story underneath it that's not intense. And that's the point. Our lives aren't always full of intensity. Why do we always need to tailor towards it? In other words, in my mind, cozy games are a palate cleanser, just like some ginger in between some slices of sushi. I'm sorry there's a lot of Japanese references. I'm not sure why that happened, actually. But yeah, they're a palate cleanser, perhaps from bigger games, offering a relatively lower commitment break. You've just come out of your 250-hour session in Witcher 3, perhaps, and you're not ready to jump into another giant Elder Scrolls type game. In that case, why not pick up a game that's just 2 hours long, refresh your mind, and then jump into another game? And from our own lives, cozy games offer a cozy retreat from very turbulent geopolitical times. It can be a lot on our minds to always be thinking about what's going on in the world, and sometimes video games remind us of that. We might not link the rise of Trump with shooting demons, but there is a lot of orange happening there. And our lives are getting very, very buzzy. There's always something happening on our phone, something to distract us. When we play these games, we're generally just focusing on one little mechanic, and we're not feeling like they're so overwhelming. So in that way, they can be very therapeutic. And yes, stress is a huge growing factor, and one that we should try to address as an industry. As you see in this chart, people from younger generations are repeatedly reporting higher levels of stress as we grow and grow because of this constant hustle and bustle that we have nowadays. But also there's a huge factor, especially in Sweden, of increasing isolation, uncertainty about the future because of what's happening in the world. And everyone has these financial worries. But the big hitter that is, in my perspective, brought about a lot of cozy games is the COVID pandemic. And maybe you guys remember which game performed especially well during the pandemic? Anyone? Yes, Animal Crossing. Another niche game. Josef Fares might know about it. So I like to call this the Animal Crossing effect. It's been a huge sea change in my mind for bringing about a lot more cozy games. Obviously, no one has that Nintendo budget. I think they spent somewhat in the ballpark of 9 years on this game before releasing it at the absolute perfect time known to mankind. But it's crazy the impact this had. You can see here there's a chart showing all of the previous Animal Crossing games at the bottom and how well they sold, and then how New Horizons sold. It's basically the same. And I'm guessing a couple of you knew of Animal Crossing before New Horizons came about. So that is saying a lot. But for most people, for ones who aren't in this room, who aren't game industry folk, they probably didn't know about Animal Crossing. So for them, this was like a launching pad to seek out new gaming that was cozier and taking them away from the pandemic, the hysteria, this feeling of isolation. And this went on to become the 17th highest selling game ever, breaking crazy records and bringing in so many new players, all while being a Nintendo Switch exclusive. So maybe there's something in that. What can we learn from this? There is a huge audience out there who are hungry for cozy games. There's an industry-wide sea change in which these games are more validated, more searched after from gamers. More similar games will come along. It's a huge market at the moment, but indie games or indie studios have a head start because you don't need to spend that 9 years like Nintendo did on Animal Crossing. Also, this non-demanding gameplay suits all lifestyles. Animal Crossing is built around this fact that you can just turn it on for a bit each day and get back into it. You don't feel like it's a big commitment. Also, social community factors are huge, especially when people are so afflicted by isolation. And if you're willing to shoot and make a cozy game, then probably Nintendo is worth a shot, because there is like a big fan base already on that platform. But why are cozy games a good fit for developers in specific? It's a quite non-competitive market. I'm in a big group chat, secret channel with a lot of cozy gamers who are developers, and we're all trying to support each other. The best part of cozy games is generally you're not competing. You're trying to uplift each other. Because there's short run times, the gamers are looking to jump from one cozy game to another. So you want to be on that recommended page, not trying to pull them away from it. Also, they have generally quite short run and development times. So it's not going to break your back to make a cozy game, hopefully. It can, but develop smart, I don't know. They don't need to be feature-rich. Generally, if you are making a feature-rich cozy game, you've already gone wrong. You can try to make a game that has a lot going on in it, but most people who play these games just want to focus on one star mechanic, one thing that they can relate to, which they can adopt easy. We already have the Stardews, the Animal Crossings, the games that try to do everything. They just want to hone in on the part of the game that spoke to them most. And the people who love these games are patient and understanding. They're not going to scream at you for doing bad. They're going to love you for what you do. And you can get away with quite simple graphics. Not bad, I put in hyperphensics, because you can be simple, but polished. And it's all about the shaders, the outlines, the unique style you're trying to do. In my case, it's Blender claymation, which is very hacky actually, but it looks amazing. And these games are often highly reviewed on Steam, so they can stand out well. Some big examples would be Slime Rancher, the 20th highest rated game on the Steam network, and A Short Hike at number 19. A Short Hike is especially interesting because this game was made by one person in about 9 months. And I really recommend anyone who's interested in cozy game dev to check out this GDC that the creator made about crafting tiny open worlds. Basically, there's a whole post-mortem of the development process behind A Short Hike. And here's one graphic I pulled from it. He actually spent about a month on a prototype, just getting the general art and character feel from it. And then he only spent another 3 months after that to get a release-ready build for Humble. Most people never played this version of A Short Hike that was only spent 4 months on. The full release is 9 months development time. But essentially, he just got the absolute necessities of the game out then, and was endorsed by Humble to get it out so quickly. It's insane. And these games are especially relevant for small indie studios to make. Of course, you can be a bigger studio, make a cozy game, or make a couple. But they're affordable for indies because you can get this experimental sort of rebellious stage out of your life with trying out something different in terms of graphics and gameplay. You're probably not going to fall short to feature creep, because you can just hone in on one interest and make a simple, authentic game about that. And really, I encourage you to make games from the heart, make games which speak to you before trying to maybe conform to others. There's so many small things in your life which you're passionate about, and especially with cozy games, they're probably applicable as the star mechanic. Cozy games also perform exceptionally well on Kickstarter compared to most other genres out there. A lot of people have been burned by the Kickstarter effect, but cozy games still thrive because people can sense that they're humble teams and there's a lot of authenticity behind them, and it speaks volumes. So some examples would be the one dev made games, Cinnamon Bunny and Spilled. They're not trying to seek huge budgets, but I've seen bigger games get a lot more income from this. But essentially, I don't hardly ever see any failed cozy Kickstarters out there. Also, I'd recommend, if you are trying to launch a Kickstarter, you should also try to team up with other cozy devs, because, again, this recommendation factor is a huge part of the cozy world, and especially the Kickstarter market. You want to end up on the update pages or have your name shouted out by the pages on Kickstarter. But more than anything, as a first-time indie dev, it's an amazing chance to prove yourself and get game number 1 out of the door. A lot of publishers, as you know, maybe won't even speak to you until you have game number 2. So just having this winning moment in which you can have made a cozy game within 9 months or less, maybe a bit more, because it's your first game, you're still learning a lot of lessons, it's going to make the world a difference to you. It's going to show that you can ship a game. And I'd like to do a very small case study, show off some cozy games here in Sweden. We have this cluster called Sweden Game Arena, which backs a lot of games locally in Skövde. And there's a couple cozy games that have been accepted in the program, and some are here today. We have Muri Wildwoods just over here, which is a power simulator, but brought to a cutesy Mario Sunshine sort of world. And you're cleaning up goo. We have Fae and Fauna, which is also just on the corner here. Guys, play these games, please. And it's a lovely open world game. It's not too much going on, but it's beautiful, it's stylistic, and it's all about hatching eggs and bonding with animals. You're gonna love it. It's not trying to be Witcher free. And this one isn't at the showcase today, but the developer reached out to me and she had some new key art she wanted to show off, so this is almost a debut. It's Home Sweet Gnome. It borrows from a lot of Swedish storytelling, children's books, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it's all about just bed and breakfast management. Your gnome is looking after magical creatures coming in and staying at her treehouse in Sweden. And yeah, we talked about the development side. What about the investment side? Why are cozy games worth investing in? Well, for one, they're quite low risk with a low budget. Generally, most developers are shooting somewhere between the 50,000 to 200,000 window Of course, it can go more, especially if you're trying to tailor to a big investor, but then maybe you're drifting away from cozy world and into AA world. But the benefit of backing small games is, of course, you can have more eggs in your basket. And perhaps one of those is a golden egg, which makes all the other ones worthwhile hatching. And then we get back to the cross-promotion, in which some of these hatched eggs can support the other ones as well. More than anything, having cozy games quickly leads to a diverse portfolio. You're going to have much more games out there than you would otherwise if you're searching longer 2-3 year plus development times with big budgets. And when we're talking about how the teams are performing, there's a much lower chance of scope problems, missed deadlines, and they're easy to track and easy to prioritize what's going on within these games. You're probably not going to have the studio go too rogue. If they're just focusing on cleaning trinkets, you know that they need to execute cleaning trinkets. Then it is a growing market. There's a lot of things happening, but generally not many cozy games are similar to other ones. Of course, you do have the farming ones, that's a huge thing, but maybe don't do that. There's a huge amount of subgenres out there, and you can hone in and do your complete thing. Just be authentic in this world is my advice. And if all goes well, you could expect up to 4 games within 3 years from one team. And that's amazing. And I've also highlighted some publishers here which do back cozy games. We have Secret Mode, Whitethorn Games, Mooneye, and Fellow Traveler. There is, of course, more out there, but these are just 4 that come to mind quite quickly. And how do people find out about cozy games? For one, there's this huge event called Wholesome Direct, which is basically the Nintendo Direct, the creme de la creme exhibition of cozy games online. Then there's, of course, social media attached to that. In particular, Wholesome have a huge appeal with massive Twitter and TikTok accounts, but they also partner with a lot of people who co-stream the showcases too. Then they have Steam Celebration and events with huge amounts of people joining in and checking out on the cozy games. This is pretty much the highlights of the year for anyone who's a fan of these games. And as mentioned before, recommendations. People generally will play one cozy game for 2 hours, 3 hours, then see another one recommended on a Steam page and jump on that. Then we're getting a bit old school, but a lot of people who play cozy games are, non-gamers. They're probably still lurking on Facebook quite a lot and sending pictures of their cats and their knitting, whatever people do on Facebook nowadays, I don't know. But there's a lot of Facebook groups specifically orientated around cozy games. And generally, these people don't know much about gaming, and they're just happy for any recommendations. They want to hear from the audience what is worth playing. Then just general word of mouth. Instead of asking what the biggest game is, they're really asking, how does the game make me feel? Why does it speak volumes to you, and how is it going to make me feel relaxed at the end of the day? So a lot of basically soul searching in people looking for cozy games. So the Wholesome Direct, the event of the year, as mentioned before, is a huge chance to get your cozy game out there. It's about 60 games every year, and these are basically, the endorsed cozy games by the biggest organizer. It's a huge Steam event as well, and if you're part of it, you can expect tens of thousands of wish lists alone. That's quite a lot just from one showcase, especially for cozy games, small budgets. The only thing is, it's getting more competitive. This year, there was 1,500 plus submissions, and only 60 got chosen. I got lucky. But generally, what I'd suggest to try to get into the Wholesome Direct is offer some form of exclusivity, whether that is your game announcement entirely, or your Steam page. Just give them something big, and it will increase your chances by a lot. And of course, there is just the personal side of it. Why should you decide to make a cozy game? We do have a choice when we make games. So my suggestions would be, especially for inclusivity, there is a strong presence of women and marginalized groups and cultures who are fans of these games, not fans of the typical games we showcase necessarily. And they're hungry for games, guys. So definitely try to think about everyone out there, not just yourself, because we are a male-dominant industry. Not only is it a widely ignored community, but it's a pretty ignored industry as well. So there's plenty of chance to make a splash out there when it comes to cozy and wholesome games. More than anything, it's good to make people smile, right? So cozy games bring a lot of positivity to the world, and that's an incredibly amazing thing to strive for as a developer. You might put people into massive depression with your game, but if you hear that it's like life-changing in a way that it's like a warm hug when they come home every day, a hot cup of cocoa, then that's such a beautiful thing to hear. And we need more of that in the world. Also, you have a lot of things probably very close to heart that make you feel relaxed and make you feel zen. Some niche interests, like, I don't know, micro shrub gardening that you might enjoy when you get home between your gaming dev sesh. And there's a great chance of cozy games to celebrate that. You really do have unique, amazing interests, and I recommend that you try to pursue that with gaming as well. It might make you fall in love with it even more. And if you love it a lot, I'm sure others will. Then it's just the fact that gamers are growing up. When I was younger, I'm 31 now, but when I was a teenager, I loved shooting things a lot and getting in Call of Duty death matches and Halo 3 big team battles. But I don't love just wasting my days away on that anymore. It's nice to search for unique, sort of like innovative gameplay and just have these slice-of-life games that I can pick up and play. Especially as a developer, I don't want to get sucked into huge 200-hour-plus game sessions. I can't deal with that, man. So, yeah, plenty are looking for more diverse experiences nowadays. And in my point of view, it's a necessary evolution. And why take my word for it? As mentioned before, I'm making a cozy game called Poster. And I keep getting told how fast my development process is, and I definitely could have gone simpler. You can always go simpler when it comes to cozy games. For me, it felt like the smartest and safest move to take after I downsized in the studio, and we had limited budget, limited dev time. And again, it's just so comforting to work on a game like this too, as well as making financial sense. It just brings me a lot of joy, a lot of good feelings. And so far, it's gotten me pretty far. I never expected to be on a stage and still have no idea what I'm doing up here. But yeah, the most important part is I still love cooking. I basically started this game because I was a starving indie dev and I had to learn how to cook a lot of good meals and make myself feel happy, feel a lot of self-love doing that. And I decided, why not take that into gaming? So I started to explore food culture through claymation-style graphics and Blender. And yeah, those are some random food porn pics that I shared at the bottom too for my own cooking. And with that said, big thank you for letting me mumble on about cozy games on stage. I hope it was a nice opening for your day here. Maybe for those who are sleepy, it's too cozy and you're getting back into hungover like relapse. But I'm sure you're waking up soon. And yeah, let's take some cozy questions if anyone has them. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you. So if you have a question, please raise your hand so that James could see you. Yeah.
You, sir.
Thank you very much for the cozy presentation. I have a couple of teams working on cozy games, and
Awesome.
we have noticed that it's very hard to make a good cozy game. Do you agree? Like, people having experience making on other games can find making cozy games a little bit unintuitive, so to say.
Yeah, the intuitive aspect is quite hard to hunker down with cozy games. I definitely agree, because it's trying to be this sort of like relaxed gameplay. There's nothing that you want to scream at a player to sort of like say do this, do that. You have to let them take that wander in the forest to sort of figure out what they're doing. And as a developer, like, it can be hard to focus on what to tackle next. So I agree with that, but more than anything, I guess you just boil the pot down to the essential sauce, and you can sort of like figure out what absolutely needs to be there. And my best advice is just, yeah, good luck with that and figure out exactly what you need.
Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you for the wonderful
Hello.
presentation.
Thank you.
Actually, thumbs up for keeping cooking. I am working on a Nordic Game talk called "Every Game Developer Needs to Know How to Cook," but that's besides the point.
I want to talk about that.
Oh, you want to talk about that as well?
Afterwards, we can take it.
So, question. Earlier on in your presentation, you mentioned that one of the defining features of cozy games is that they do not offer the type of intensity or challenge that is normally associated with traditional games. But, well, I'm not an expert in the field. I prototype a lot of these kinds of games myself, and I do play a lot of them. But I can't help but think of games like, well, you have Snufkin, Melody of Moomin Valley, or Song of the Highlands, or Dredge from like a couple of years ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
There does seem to be a certain amount of at least skill-based mechanics in those games that do create these, they're not really points of failure, but points of focus for the player to still challenge them mechanically. And the question is, what do you think is the right balance before a cozy game becomes like a more accessible, traditional, like, I don't know, exploration adventure game? Like, what is the right amount of intensity, basically, and how do you feel about the presence of those mechanics in games like that?
Intensity in cozy games. Hot topic. So, yeah, some of the ones you mentioned, like Dredge, for example, I'd say are like horrific fishing games that drift into cozy waters. So there is this element of like some of these games being cozy and just like the limited sort of like art budget. But yeah, of course, you do need something to drive the player to not lure them too much to sleep and provide them something to achieve for some intensity. But I don't think you need to go like too hard on that. As long as there is like some pre-established goals set very early on about what you can achieve as a player. In a short hike, for example, the only intensity would be getting to the top of the mountain. Then it's up to you to lose your path and stumble upon other things. So it definitely varies from game to game. When we're talking about cozy, it's incredibly sort of like subjective which sort of direction you want to take it in, or if you just want to be a similar type of genre game of cozy graphics. But again, just figure out what is the driving force for your player and why they want to clean up the goo, like in Muri Wildwoods, is a big thing to figure out, instead of like looking towards more typical, intense gaming experiences. I hope that answers a little bit.
Thank you for your talk.
Thank you.
I can certainly relate with easing on the stress and not having much time to play them. You mentioned the audience pivots more toward the younger and female players. Can you elaborate on those numbers and where you get those numbers?
Oh yeah, so the numbers that I mostly pulled for these demographics come from Wholesome themselves. They shared the pitch deck with me and shown basically the learnings that they've taken from their own community. It's a tough one though. I don't like to hone in too much on the genders in the industry because of course as a man, like I love playing cozy games too. And I think there is a sea change too of grown-up men deciding they don't need to shoot demons in the face anymore and that they can be easy on themselves and not surrender their masculinity by enjoying something that isn't so intense. But yeah, it basically came from Wholesome.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
What do you think about mystery or even a cozy murder in a cozy game?
Ooh, mysterious cozy murders. Actually, I've been toying with this a lot. Like, it would be fun to do sort of like a cozy horror game, or sort of like subvert the genre a bit by having a cozy world with not so cozy things happening in it. There definitely is games out there like that. And really, when you think about it, like horror games and cozy games have a lot in common. They are generally short development time, horror games generally are, glorified walking simulators, so they can be quite slow mechanic-wise. So I would see a lot of temptation to sort of like drift between those two worlds, and I hope to see more of that happening. Actually, yeah.
I can recommend Duck Detective: The Secret Salami.
Oh yes, now on mobile.
I think it's kind of inspired by Spelkollektivets house, because we have a salami room there, and the team has been in the house.
It's weird
Any
how
more
many Duck and
questions?
Goose games are nowadays. It's like its home thing.
Yeah. Any more questions? All right. Thank you so much, Harry.
Thank you. I survived.